All right, it's Tacoma Comics. We are live tonight. It's Tuesday night, August something. I got no freaking idea, and I am exhausted. It's been a long week. It's going to be a longer week. Lots of stuff going on with school while it feels sort of like nothing's going on with school. You know why? Because nobody knows what they're doing. If you wanted to get serious, I don't know that I want to get serious, but if you wanted to get serious, they're trying real hard. They took their time to try to get things right, to try to get things consistent, to try to get things smooth, to try to get things running well, to get all the stakeholders' input, to make sure that there's quality across the board and that we have equity and equal access. Problem is, if they just told me in June, go write a course that can be used for some STEM thing that you want to do, I would have come up with some great stuff. But no, they want to make sure it's an established course, that all the teachers are teaching the same in each school, that we're all using the same this and the same that. And, you know, so now it's August and we're trying to basically write curriculum for school. It's a nut show. I don't want to say it's a shit show because I do think that there's good people involved that are trying their hardest, but it's tough. It is definitely tough. All right. That's part of the bullshit, but you're here for the bourbon first. Always the bourbon first. That's why the title of the show is Bourbon and Bullshit. So this is a classic Bulleit. I assume it's pronounced Bulleit. I don't know for sure. Bulleit Bourbon, Frontier Whiskey, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So apparently, from what I understand, Bulleit is famous for having a very high rye content. As we know from earlier shows, to be a bourbon, there we go. To be a bourbon, you have to be at least 50% corn mash. But the other 50% can be any combination of rye and wheat mash, and Bulleit is popular, well known for having a high rye mash. So we've got our glass here. We're going with the clear plastic ice cube. And we'll take a good pull in this. I'm not going to have a full glass because I'm going to have a second glass. I've got some bitters and some garnishes for a nice old-fashioned after this. I love these plastic ice cubes, but I don't like that you don't get that chink, chink, chink sound as it swirls around. All right. Who dat, man? You are welcome anytime that you want to come on with rum. I'd appreciate it. So definitely getting like a sweet, malty, caramelly flavor. Probably because the rye's got more sugar. Hey, Spectre, thanks for joining us. Let's see if we can. It's really sweet. It's really spicy as well. Almost a hint of licorice at the beginning. It definitely got some spice to it. So I don't know. Yeah, who dat, you know, once school starts, I don't know if I'm going to change this or what. I'm going to have to see how the schedule goes, basically. You know, teaching from home means I get an extra hour in the morning almost to wake up. But once school starts, I might not be doing late night Tuesday nights anyway. Let's take a look and see what we have here. Why is it? Oh, there we go. So russet in color with rich oaky aroma. I did not get oaky aroma. I got caramel. Caramel was the taste I had. Exceptionally smooth. I don't even know that I'd say exceptionally smooth. Maybe because I'm looking at Bulleit Rye. How about Bulleit Bourbon? Bulleit Bourbon tasting notes. Amber in color, gentle spiciness. I certainly got that. Well, I said caramel, but I could see how they'd say maple. Nutmeg too. And there's the caramel. So I wasn't far off with some of this one. I don't know enough about bourbon tasting to finish is long, dry, and satiny with a light toffee flavor. Yeah, it's all pretentious, and we know that. That's part of why we do this, because it's just fun with the pretension of talking about this sort of thing. So we have oaky notes to begin. We've got nice vanilla spice in the middle, almost said vanilla ice. And then we've got toffee notes, which I said were caramel notes, finishing off. Spicy, I don't know that I could identify nutmeg. So either I'm not good at this, or bourbon tasting is more pretentious than wine tasting and full of it, and that's part of the fun here. So we'll finish that off. We're going to trade out that ice cube, and we'll take our little tray here. I've got a new ice cube to put in. Let's get another nice pull of that bourbon. And then to tone down some of those spiciness, we're going to take a little charred orange peel. Get that in there nice and good. A little charred rosemary. Really releases the flavor when you char the rosemary. Kind of opens up and lifts the oil. Then we're going to take a second orange peel. Wipe it around. Get all that orange oil essence right on the rim, so every sip you take, you kind of are inhaling that orange. And if you look closely at the rim, I don't know if you can almost see it's like smeared up there. That's the orange oils that are smearing it. Then you can just throw that one in as well. There's no point in keeping it. And I'm doing the keto as much as I can, so I'm not going to put a simple syrup in here. I will just take some Bitter Housewife bitters, Bitter Housewife orange bitters. I like this one because most bitters are full of it, and they're basically just sugar water in color. But orange peel, Earl Grey tea leaves, cardamom, allspice. I don't know what the last two are, but actually some decent ingredients in here for a nice taste. So I don't have a mixer, so I'm just going to do a nice little shake and a swirl. Cheers. That's nice. All right. Let's see. I want to start off today actually by taking this and making it a different window so that I can go and move my windows. Bourbon for sure. Let's talk about some bullshit. And there's some bullshit that I really want to examine with you guys, because I think that the chat, the live chat, or the comments later might have something to say about this. So let's just go and look at a new application window. It doesn't want to do it like that. I know why. Because it needs my window to be a bit smaller to find the other one. I have some weird problems using StreamYard. So let's see what we got going on here and try it again. Share screen, application window. There we go. So right now we're sharing that, but I wanted to take a look at this, and I actually want to get rid of myself. There we go. So let's take a look at what's going on over here, because this is a little freaky. We're talking about this book, right? All New Marvel Now .1. I have 2 copies. I've got one signed. I don't have anything slabbed, and I picked up a second copy. It is a good book. It is the first full appearance of Miss Marvel, second cover appearance. It's her origin story. It's the first real book that has any story on Miss Marvel. And so I was looking through this the other day, and they've got all this information about why Kamala is important and why it's interesting. And I clicked down the variants because I don't have the variant to this, and I'm such a large Miss Marvel fan. I really want to get the variant to this. So I was looking, it's a decent cover. You got Angela, Yondu, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Bolt. You got a bunch of guys and girls on there that are really cool. And so they're telling this story about this variant here and how the eBay sales were strong last week. And they got proof from the eBay seller that it was a real bid and a real price. And they say the 9.6s are selling. And then here's the bad. Rumors are swirling that someone has been reaching out to big money collectors claiming to have more than 100, but less than 1,000 copies of this book for sale. Now, when this book came out, Kamala Khan was nothing. right? Miss Marvel #1 had not come out. The newspapers had not printed their articles yet about a Muslim superhero. G. Willow Wilson was not getting her name printed in the New York Times as it was 2 years ago. We weren't hearing about Disney rumors. They weren't selling millions of graphic novels to schools. It was just a tiny new character on a Marvel Now .1. The variant was a 1 in 75 variant, not a lot of orders. But if you look at this bad here, what they're saying is that somebody has hoarded somewhere between 100 and 1,000 of this. We have yet to verify these rumors, but we feel confident enough in the evidence, so collectors have been reaching out. And if true, it'll depreciate the value. And here's the part that gets us the ugly. The copies were very likely obtained illegally at some point during production, distribution, or warehousing. That means somebody was supposed to take a box of these second prints out and chuck them, right? Hey, they're not purchased by the retailers. They're 1 in 75. We printed this many. We only got this many orders. We're throwing them out. Recycle the paper. This scenario has long been a fear of collectors of modern keys, as mechanics of printing are such that it makes sense for publishers to produce far more copies of a book, including variants, than are needed in case of damages, and then destroy the excess. However, publishers, with the exception of some notables like Vault Comics, have been known to send excess copies to markets they believe will not be traced back despite the probable hit to collectors. Stories abound of collectors pulling Ultimate Fallout 4 1 in 25 variants from comic bundles at Five Below stores in the 2010s. Similar things, the Mile High 2 collection. The rumors have spread wide enough that initial signs of a premature slowdown for this book are present. So basically what we're talking about is that if you were lucky enough to find one of these in the dollar bin or to have been a fan and purchased it from your LCS originally, something's going on now where this rare book where they would have had to order 75 of the original to get one of these, somebody is now trying to sell a couple hundred of them to collectors at a time, which will really knock the price down. If this one's 65, the variant top raw form is going for $315. Something's up. That $315 number is going to come down. So we definitely have an issue that has to be dealt with. There's definitely something going on. Don't know what it is. I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't like Key Collector. I assume there's more people that use it that say they don't like it, but still use it, or people like me. Oh, I just use it when I'm hunting, but I don't go by the value. We all have our excuses or reasons. It's a handy app. It's only $20 a year for some really great, powerful information. I know that people think their prices sometimes are skewed or wrong. I believe that they're following the market, and they will even write stuff like, hey, TJ, how you doing? It's good to see you, my friend. They will even write stuff like, listen, we don't think this is going to hold, or we don't think this is true, but a copy sold for this. We tracked it down. It was a true sale. We're just providing you with information. And so I like that. So when they print something like that somebody is illegally flooding the market with copies of a book, and they've been contacted by several buyers who have been approached by this seller with over 100 copies of this book, I believe them. There's no reason not to. All right. So that brings the bullshit to a close. Let's go and have some more fun now, and let's join ourselves in with something that I like to call. Just hold on a second. See if I can get this to go right at the first time. See it full screen. It goes large. Let's see if I can get this right the first time. We're going to do a little segment I like to call The Hustle. Oh yeah, Van McCoy, The Hustle. How do you like that one? Someday I'm going to learn how you all switch your screen from like you to the video playing right away. I don't have those skills. Maybe you're using OBS or something. I'm using the free version of StreamYard. I just don't have those skills. But the hustle was strong. The hustle is strong this week. Let's see how we're doing. This is the third week of doing the hustle. If you're new to the show, you might not be familiar with it, but we'll check it out and show you what's going on. Here is the hustle. Let's just make that a little bit larger, and we can go and present. So we started off 3 weeks ago looking at this God Country that I bought. Bought some Saga on the cheap, $7 for those 4. Bought these Turtles. Bought some other cheap books. All right. After my first week, though, of all the books I bought, so I don't show you every single book I bought, because if I was to show you the $100 worth of books I bought, forget about it. I spent about $260. I made about $250. I was down about $10. Week 2, I was able to snag a couple of these for $10 each. Sold them for $35. Did a whole bunch of half-price stuff. Sold a massive box of books, which is pretty cool. That the price of that box went up. I stuffed it full of keys and good books. So after 2 weeks, Whodat did not have an auction that week, and so even though I'd sold a few things, I was down to negative $88, which is why I started the Saturday morning cartoon crew with Lady Fantastic, Shortbox Padawan, Adrian APM, and Southern Comic Geek. We had our little auction and did a lot better between Whodat's last auction and Saturday. And I was able to, I bought a few more books, put my debit and my total amount down to negative $199. But then I was able to sell a lot of books. Big books, big sale at Whodat's auction, and another big sale at my auction. I'll call it my auction, the Saturday morning cartoon cruise auction. $281. All right, so of course, I go around and I take that money and I buy more books. So I'm still up overall, though I did buy my kids some presents with my comic book money. So it's not like I'm only saving for comic books, but I've got a decent amount saved for comic books. I was able to buy my kids some presents at the comic book store, D&D plushie, and some board games and some dice. And I bought some more books. You know, I got this for $6. This is easily $45 book. Got some nice Knights of the Republic, and I got a stack the other day at a store that was having an 80% off sale. So I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty well positioned for Spectre says he hates hoarders. I'm pretty well positioned for coming back, and got an auction, should be on with Whodat on Thursday night. And then I have an auction, I believe Lady Fantastic is doing the auction for the Saturday morning cartoon crew this Saturday. So, you know, it goes round and round. The purpose of the hustle is just me kind of keeping a running tab of the low level buys and sales I do. I'm not a big fish. I don't have big books. I don't find that $100 book that I can get cleaned and pressed and slabbed and try to sell for $500. It's not my game. I'm strictly dollar books and flipping for $5. You know, I got to get the little meme here, but it's as our friend Proposition Joe said in The Wire, buy for a nickel, sell for a dime. That's all there is to it, and that's the hustle. All right, let's take a look at some books that I got recently. You know, I'm going to save the books for the end. I want to go out on a good note. I want to talk about Jabroni for a second. Obviously, everybody, I believe, I assume, has heard. If you have not heard, Edwin Ocasio, known as the Comic Jabroni, passed away on Saturday night. Immediate outpouring of emotion and love for him. You know, people say this is the greatest community. I think what you saw over the weekend holds up true, that at least this is a good community, a great community. The greatest is hard to quantify. I think you get out of it what you put into it as far as the relationships and the connections you make. But it was really heartwarming to see Thorough just slap together an auction on his own Saturday night or Sunday. The GoFundMe, get over to 10 grand. Thoreau's auction picked up another 7 grand. There is another auction tonight on Shortbox's channel. I was able to give my tiniest, smallest part of that. I sold a die slab on Thoreau's auction. It's just beautiful to see what happened in the aftermath of a tragedy. I didn't know Comic Jabroni very well. Kind of felt like he was one of the cool kids, and I've always had that, like, I'm not a cool kid feeling. That goes back to elementary, middle, high school. Always kind of hung out on the periphery of the cool kids, never with the cool kids. I'd approached him once or twice. I was doing a big haul that I got of cheap dollar books, and Jay Blitz was like, "Oh, that Conan, you should show that to Comic Jabroni. He's collecting those." So I was like, okay. I Instagram messaged Jabroni. It's the first time I'd ever talked to him. And I'm like, "Hey, are you looking for this book, Conan 64? He's like, "Yeah, I am." So I grabbed it. I put a sticky on it. Then I felt like this is kind of shit to just have one book for an AOK. Maybe I should follow him more and find more of what he likes and, give him a true AOK, a bunch of books, right? I don't like to send one book. I like to send a bunch of books when I do an AOK. If you've ever received an AOK from me, that's, one book isn't going to cut it. Not because I'm, a super rich guy with lots of money, but just because I think it's kind of chintzy to send one book. So I kept it. And I didn't really follow up the way I should have. And I'm feeling especially guilty about that now, because instead of an AOK that I was able to give to this man, I have one Conan 64 issue that I don't necessarily want or collect sitting here with nothing to do with it. So, it's my personal story. It's not a great story about my interaction with him. But I do think that a greater theme we can take out of this is that at the very least, at the bottom, there is a positive current running through this community of people that actually care about each other more than words, more than a slogan, right? When you say this is the greatest community, oh, the pop community is not that strong, or, oh, and I don't mean to shit all over pops. A little bit drunk, but this community or that community, or there's so much infighting. And I know Thoreau, before this happened, was a little upset last Friday. He'd done a thing where he had been like, "Dude, I'm done with this. I'm ready to quit." And people are like, no, come back. I think anytime you get too large and your community expands, there's always going to be bad apples, right? So for those of us that are smaller, maybe the sub 1,000, the sub 500, we kind of find our niches, we find our group, and we feel very comfortable with them, confident with them. Once you expand so large, you're always going to find those bad apples, right? And, what's amazing is whether those bad apples exist or not, and what number and whatever effect they had, they clearly haven't affected the outpouring of sympathy and support and financial support for Jabroni's family. And I think that's a really important point to make, that this community is strong and it is good. Let's go up a bit. Spectre says he hates hoarders. He thinks speculators are ruin the fun of collecting. I need to define more. Amen, brother. Amen. I need to define more what you mean by speculators. Is it people buying 25 copies of the new Thor before anybody else can get a hand on it at the shop? Is it somebody just buying a chintzy old comic because they read on an app that it's going to go big? Or is it somebody who goes and digs through dollar bins and finds the stuff that's already popular? So, I mean, for me, a speculator is somebody who's buying up something that other people want because they think that they can grab that something and make more money out of it, or flip it really quickly. So I don't know. I mean, I do a little bit of that. My favorite thing is to go through dollar bins and quarter bins and find the shit that was missed that I know people want and that I can sell for a little bit more. Right? That's why I have the hustle. But there is a little bit of, I'm never going to be buying like 25 copies of the 1 in 50 new Thor that comes out. That's not my game. I don't necessarily disrespect people who do that. I do think if you're buying all the copies of a new issue, that's not necessarily fair. Some people can say, well, they got to the store, they got up and did it. Yeah, the stores will say, if you really want it, put it on your hold list. But, you might see something online. It might not just be Key Collector app. You might see something online where somebody says, oh, this is a great read. Definitely start reading this comic. You go and try to find it, and it's not there. The store that I went to on Sunday, I grabbed 2 issues. I grabbed 100 issues from the 80% off bins, but I grabbed a few issues from the modern stuff, but they were like 5 or 6 months old. So they've been sitting on the shelf for a while. I grabbed 2 copies of each issue. And when I brought it up, the lady's like, oh, you can only buy 1 copy of an issue at the store. And I was like, all right, I respect that. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to buy that other book, and I'll show it to you. Well, no, I won't show it to you in a second. But I just thought, okay, that's their store policy. I get it. I dig it. So yeah, new comics are not worth much. New comics may go down in value after the initial whizzle dizzle over the newest comic that comes out every week that somebody is getting excited over. But I don't think you could accurately say they're not worth much, because there's a lot of comics out there that are only 5-6 years old that are worth quite a lot now, which is amazing. But I do understand where you're coming from, Spectre. Bearded Comic Bro says it's amazing to see how the comic community has come together through tough times. Yeah, and it's sincere, it's organic, it's not affected by any of the negativity. If there is negativity out there, it didn't seep into what really matters. And so I kind of really dig that, right? I kind of really like that. And I really like Bulleit Bourbon. So got a couple comics here that I just wanted to show you. I picked out a few from my big haul and picked out some more I got. What's up, Chad? Chad is here. Run the Comics is here. Got some new people. Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple. So this is a Matt Rosenberg comic. Issue 1 came out in November of 2019. So you can imagine issue 2 came out in December of 2019. Maybe they skipped a month because at Christmas sometimes they skip. So issue 2 or 3 came out in January, and then the series died, right? So February they probably didn't print and ship, or at least March, April, May, not until June. So this series never caught on. And Matt Rosenberg, while not Donny Cates, is a pretty popular Marvel writer, definitely a popular indie writer. People are loving his Freefall. People are loving his New Mutants Dead Souls. He writes some good stuff. So it's interesting to see where this comic fell. It just never had a chance to get its legs. I read it. It's not a bad story. It's not a great story, but it is the story basically of these two and more about her. Cere Jade, Jaden, or Cere Jade, C-E-R-E. How are you going to pronounce C-E-R-E? Y'all tell me how to pronounce C-E-R-E. She's a Jedi, in a Padawan, in the vein of Ahsoka, in that she kind of argues a lot and is very impulsive, but her master's an old wise man, right, who excuses her impulsivity and even attacked and pushed back against the Jedi Council, kind of like a little like in-your-face wordplay to Yoda and Mace when they were questioning her actions. And he's like, respectfully, the Jedi Order might be stuck in its ways. And he worded it better than that, but that's what he's getting at. So anyway, if you see this around, it's the first appearance of a new character, a Jedi who, or a Padawan. They say that she's a former Jedi, so if I read issue 2 or 3, if I can find them, it might continue the story. You can already see how she's leaning away from the Jedi Order, and her master, I'll tell you, her master dies at the end of this, or there's an explosion at least, so if she doesn't have anybody to guide her, you could see how she might be going down another path. And then there's these mysterious voices saying, I hope she's the right one. I don't know what that means. It's cool. It's cheap. It's a first appearance. The way you could get Dark Horse Star Wars comic books 2 or 3 years ago, dirt cheap, and now they're like through the roof. maybe you want to grab that if you see it. Let's see. Chad is here. Run the Comics is here. And Spectre says, why do they print so many variants? In the end, it's still the same comic on the inside. Spectre, you are absolutely 100% correct. The reason why they print so many variants is because people buy them. Sarah, okay, TJ, you might be absolutely right, man. And I'm trying to have a conversation with the comments, but the comments come like in chunks, so it's a little bit difficult. Sarah, I could say Sarah, yeah. Sarah Jade, but not Jade. Jaden, because she's not related to Mara Jade. Anyway, I'm carrying like two conversations at the same time and drinking bourbon. To get back to Spectre's point, yeah, people will buy them. Run the Comics, I do like. A lot of the variants are beautiful. I do think a lot of variants are overrated. I think that a lot of Venom covers, Wolverine covers, I think a lot of people get the idea that if you throw Venom on a cover, you can sell it. If you throw Wolverine on a cover, you can sell it. And, cover buys, books bought just for the cover, especially variants bought just for the cover. If you follow our friend JP from JP's Budget Collecting, every week when he does his show on Sunday, his 6-month look back, right, on the top hot comics, the ones that did the worst were the ones that were only rare covers. I'd say about 90% of them just lose their value. And I'm not saying Run the Comics not to buy them. If you like them, definitely buy them if you like them. Amen to you. Buy what you like. Everybody buy what they like. But if you're strictly buying just because you get it for $10 after you heard it's a $50 comic, you better sell that right away for $50, because 2 weeks later it'll be a $40 comic, and then 6 months later it'll be a $5 comic. And so I think that's where we got to be careful is the why we're buying. And if you like to sell on auctions like I do, and I make no bones about it, I like to sell on auctions. I stay away from those because generally I don't think that I've got the capital, I've got the time, I've got the energy, I've got the chutzpah, if you will, to sell those and make the money off of them. I think there's better value in finding an old key for $2, an old Wolverine comic book from his first run that might be a key, or might just be a cool cover like that Adam Hughes cover where he's all in red and diving with the claws, right? Or Jim Lee, not bad, not Adam Hughes, Jim Lee, 3, right? You're better off finding that for $1 at an antique store, as I did, than you are, or actually 50 cents, than you are, I think, trying to guess which modern variants are going to hold their value. And if you're not guessing which ones are going to hold their value, then you're trying to flip immediately. There's some people who do that really well. Shout out Jay Blitz, right? He's on an auction every day. He's getting new books in every day. That man is a workhorse. I'll do a little bit more. I don't have the energy to put in. I don't have the time to put in. Spectre, I agree with you. But if people are going to buy 4 different Negans, somebody's going to print 4 different Negans. On the other hand, they fall directly to the category that I'm speaking about. I don't think that gold foil Negan is going to be worth anything 6 months from now. I don't think the silver foil Negan is going to be worth anywhere near, well, not anything, but anywhere near where it is 6 months from now. I just don't. Right. And that's not even, that's not even like a company putting in effort for a cool variant, right? You're not looking at changing the artwork in any significant way. You're looking at the same exact cover: blue, red, silver, gold, common, less common, rare, most rare. It's just a straight like cash grab, 1 per store. Some people will buy them. I tend to think that, for me, Walking Dead ended about 3 years ago, right? I loved the show. I loved about the first 4 or 5 seasons. They did 2 seasons worth of Governors when they only should have done 1 season worth of The Governor. They did 2 or 3 seasons worth of Negan. They should have only done 1 season of Negan. It got boring. Rick died. I didn't watch it anymore. I haven't watched it in a year and a half. And I feel fine missing it. I didn't feel like the lack of Walking Dead. It used to be every Sunday night. That was part of my life. Now, whatever. And I think that the comics meant a lot more for me when I was watching the show too. And the comic, we forget, the comic was extremely well written. Right? The actual art and wording in the comics was amazing. The black and white that Kirkman and Adler chose to do, just everything about the comic, especially the first, the first 60 issues were great. I had trade paperbacks up to 27, I think, and I've had odd runs of the comic and odd comics here and there. And it was just really, really well written and well done and interesting and new. But yeah, big. Oh my God. Dude, I'm going to mess up. Biggie's coming on, and I am totally not prepared because he's just, his presence, his charisma, his persona. I'll handle it. Take a drink of courage, and I'll be up for Biggie. Z, how you doing, my friend? Your books went out yesterday with Spectres. So yeah, Walking Dead kind of fallen off a little bit. Let's see. Run the Comics says, I don't flip. I just buy what I love. I don't get those crazy 1 in 25 or more. I love dollar bin diving and quarter bin diving. I love the diving too. I guess flip means that you, when you buy something and sell it right away, as opposed to speculating where you buy something and hold it, maybe something that's not necessarily going to be worth a lot in the short term. It's interesting when we have these conversations. I don't think everybody, including myself, is always applying the same meaning to the same terms. I've always wanted to do series of like basic comic book terminology, but I never have the time. So Z's here. Z, man, Othello. I don't mean to give anything up, but you are in farm country, like desert plain country. Is it hot out there? I hope you are doing okay. TJ says he bought an Avengers 55 Raw for 100. It came back in 9.6. During the movie peak, it's at 2,000, now 500. Right? And so that's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, if you think 500 is where 55 should be, and you bought it because you wanted to keep it, that's great. If you bought it because you wanted to flip it, you should have flipped it during the movie peak, right? Wow, Z, man, we got to 100 in Tacoma on Sunday or close to it, but it's just like those 1 or 2 day heat waves. Sunday and Monday were hot. Today was kind of nice. Tomorrow's going to be even better. Yeah, if you bought it because you wanted it, that's great. If you still want to sell it, you're still making your money. 100 plus slabbing plus shipping, so you're into it for like 150, still a $500 book. Rick didn't die. Spectre says, do you think we are flooded with trade paperbacks? We are and we aren't. What we, and by we I mean old white men or old middle-aged men in the comic book world, and if there are some ladies watching me, thank you. If there is some people of color watching me, thank you. But old white men, we grew up, me in the 80s, buying single comics off the rack, putting them in a bag, paper bag, wrapping my hands around the handlebars and pedaling home while the bag's going, right? Newsstands getting ruined like newsstands are supposed to. We are not the predominant buying force in the comics industry. Raina Telgemeier's series that every middle school girl has read has outsold every single Marvel and DC comics in any year that it came out. All of her books have outsold, and they are comic books in the truest sense that they are visuals and words. They may not be this size, they may be in book format, but they are still comics, right? They're still comic writing. and they are outselling and outpacing any single issue floppy. I was in my LCS the other day, Atomic Comics, talking to Shane, and I was saying, hey, how you doing since we opened back up? What's going on in the comic industry? He says, it's been tough. He says the store's doing well, but he switched to two things. He switched to having people call him directly and like making sales of some of the older books that he's been stuffing. The stuff you're talking about, the Avengers 55, old Fantastic Four, old X-Men, old Justice League, stuff like that. I pointed to the new comic shelves, and he says, no, that business has gone and it has not come back. He said there was a certain tipping point at which, he'd have to sell this many of the new issues on pull lists, and then this many to casual buyers coming in looking for stuff not in their pull list to make a profit. And he's like, he hasn't hit that. So he's had to lower his orders of new comics because he wasn't selling enough over what he ordered to make that profit. And so by ordering less, now people are coming in less. There's less for new buyers to see. So unless you have it on your pull, if you're just a casual kid who wants to go start getting into comic books because you read one, he says there's just not that much out there for you. He can't order that much because he's not making money. Where he is making money, though, is he's making money on the trade paperbacks. He says those are selling like hotcakes, selling way more trades than single issues. And, that goes to like where I think there's this split in not quite understanding the market. This is why the Moon Girl series is going to blow us away with the expectations. You and I, except I know because I've been studying this, you have no idea how many girls are reading Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur in their 6th grade library. You don't know how many boys are picking those up, girls and boys picking up all these trade paperbacks, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Miss Marvel, Riri Williams Ironheart, all these books. I mean, I work in a middle school, and I've seen the library, and I see what the kids go for. Again, The Smile and all the other books by Raina Telgemeier, those have outpaced all the Marvel and DC books. But even those Marvel and DC books in trade paperbacks, in those story formats, Lumberjanes in their story formats, these are all over middle school libraries, and these are selling at bookstores. Comics are not selling at bookstores. Us collectors of the single issues, nothing wrong with it. I love it. It's my passion. I'm in love with it as much as you all are. But we are not in the majority in the comic book collecting, not collecting industry, but reading and buying industry. We simply are not, right? Selling Thor #4 second print variant is great and fun, and people want that book, and it's a cool cover, and so came out of retirement, and they pissed all over the cover. Then they put a special laminate on to keep the piss in there, and then they mix their droplets of blood, and it's a super double triple secret rare variant that's only sold at comic books in states who start with the letter A, and if you get it, you can flip it for $25,000. That's just a tiny amount of where people are actually buying and what people are actually buying. By people, I mean everybody that's buying any form of comic book. I've talked a lot. I need some more bourbon. Biggie, where you at, my friend? So let's see what we got coming up over here. TJ says only buy to keep or give away. TJ, you are renowned for being generous with your collection, and that is pretty freaking awesome. We are joined here by the man from La Monica, Santa Monica, not La Monica, the man with the beard, the man who needs no introduction but is going to get one anyway, the Julius, the biggest, the baddest, the best, the man with the mic, the man whose words won't stop. I introduce to you Biggie Shack. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I wanted to join on one of your previous Bourbon Talk comic shows where you're talking about ElfQuest, and I didn't have the time, so I just got up from a nap. Yeah, I just got up from a nap. I saw you talking about Walking Dead. Walking Dead was the comic that brought me back because my girlfriend is a big Walking Dead fan, And
Nice.
I actually went and got her a Walking Dead comic. That was like the first comic I got coming back.
Yeah, I remember picking up the first issues when I heard about it. It was just so clear. The line work was so good, and it was so easy to read the expressions on the characters without a lot of depth to the color. I mean, no colors, obviously, but like, so they didn't do intense shading or stuff. It was very simple line work, and it just worked for the story, and it was great. So now, we were talking about the Negans before. I know you went out and got those Negans, right? You love those Negans. Those are like part of your collection. Those were to sell, or what was it about those Negan covers?
I was really wanting a New Mutants 98, like super bad, right?
Nice.
And I heard about the Negan Golds, and I was just thinking, you know, there's a whole history to it. I can't just say I went to the shop and got it, because what had happened was, back in the day, about a year ago, the indies, there was a lot of gold foils and silver foils and ash cans and shit. And I would get my shop owner to sell them to me. So I'd be like, you know, there's a gold foil coming out this week. Rednecks, Redlands, Extremity. Yeah. All Monstrous, all of those foils. So I'm picking up all those foils, and I told her, I was like, by the way, there's a foil coming out. Walking Dead, Negan Lives. You're going to get one. Exactly. Yep. I got like 2 or 3 of those.
Nice.
And those
didn't end, man. Go on.
Yeah, the price on that book is weird too, because if you look on my comic shop at Redlands Gold Foil, it's like a $60-$80 book, but on eBay it's like it's interesting. But anyways, so I tell her about it. She didn't know anything about the books. She didn't know she was going to get them, you know. And I think that she just gave it to me because she saw it, and I told her about it before anybody else did, pretty much. And I bought other foils.
Nice. So I think that's a really good point, right? You've got to have a connection with your local comic book shop owner. You know, you got to understand you're not the only one who has a connection, because everybody thinks the comic book shop owner is their best friend, right? But it helps to go in there on off days and talk to them. It helps to be genuine, not to be like, you know, you don't want to be some sort of slick salesman. But if they know that you've been going for those foils for a while, you got, now do you mind telling us, you just paid cover for the Negan foil, or what?
I went in and I told her, I was like, I heard there's going to be a silver, gold, and regular cover. I was like, I want all of them. And she said, well, we didn't get the silver, but I got the gold. And I was like, and she gave me the gold and the regular foil. Oh, and sweet. I said, how much? And she says, cover. And I said, I'll pay you double cover. I actually did it live. So
nice. Oh, it's nice. Yeah. You're writing down Santa Monica Boulevard videos.
Yeah. I was shocked, bro. I was just like,
and so then you knew. Now, did you get your New Mutants 98 yet?
I did. I got a 9.4. Wow. It took twice amount of work. You know, you think you get 200. I sold my Negan Gold for $250 with a bunch of other books.
Okay.
And it was probably about $80 worth of loose books with it, just to get that $250. And but you think you get your $250 and you're just gonna run and go get your, no, that's not how it worked out. Ended up costing me about $325, and it came with the Miles Morales Secret Wars 8 homage.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, but the kicker is that I had to sell more and more because I wanted to give my girlfriend half the money, so I'd give her half whatever I made. So, you know,
I know how it goes. Yeah. You know, I owe my money. So I don't know if you've been watching this show. I do a segment at the beginning of the show called The Hustle, where I just, you know, I don't do the big Negan foils. I might if I got it, but I sell the dollar books for $10, and I'm kind of tracking where I was. And after the first week, I was down $150, and then after the second week, I was down $10, and now I'm up like $150 or something. But it's tough out there, you know. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love digging through bins almost every day, you know. And now that, I don't want to say COVID's over, now that we might be easing up restrictions and I'm going back to school, I'm going to be stuck to only weekends going through comic book shops. I've actually enjoyed having like days and days to go through the shops and see what I could find. It's been fun. Let's just say Action Bronson, yes. Lady F does go for Moon Girl and Squirrel Girl. I like Moon Girl. I didn't get into Squirrel Girl as much. I don't know, just didn't quite get it for me. Spectre says it's easier to find New Mutants 98 than it is to find Infinity Incorporated 14. See, now I'm like, I want to dive for the phone and look up Infinity Inc. 14 because it doesn't ring a bell right off the top of my head. So you're gonna have to tell us, Spectre, what that is.
Yeah, it's probably a rare comic that ain't worth shit though. You know what I mean?
It's hard to find. Like, so Poor Man's Comics is the king, I think, of finding like those rare comics that nobody knew they wanted or remembered was out there until they saw it on his Instagram. And it's like, whoa, he's always posting good stuff. You got anything good recently to show us?
I got a couple AOKs. I had the super duper AOK, right, Tacoma? I don't know if you heard about it, but 30 people joined up, and yeah, and they all chipped in. And I'll show you one of the books I got before, like the big one. But so like I was telling you about that New Mutants 98, and I also bought a few other books with it. You know, I got like First Hobgoblin, First Rocket Raccoon, and I bought from a couple dealers, and they one of them, a couple of them full just planned to like send me a big AOK, and one of them sent me Ghost Rider 1.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and that's pretty sweet.
Nice.
And what was the other? There was a few other books, but the big one everybody chipped in on that is my Grail, pretty much. Like it's a Grail I thought I might be able to achieve, but wasn't sure if I didn't think I'd get there. But I got Hulk number 2.
What issue is that?
Number 2.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah, first Green Hulk.
What's the grade?
3.0.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That's nice, man. Now, so who chipped in for that? It was the community?
It was like 30 people, bro. Tacoma was in, or not Tacoma. TJ was in here. He was one of them.
Oh, nice.
Shit. Boy Who Had 7, JP, NYC, D Runk, 36 Chambers. Shit. Mark Spector. I think I can't name them all off. I feel like a dickhead, but there was a lot.
30 hard to remember. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was recipient of a Those Guys box about a year ago. And that was just awesome to get that. Now, how are you feeling health wise? I know you were in the hospital. You all better and clear?
I think that I'm getting better day by day. I think I'm trying to understand what's going on. I think it might be my heartburn medicine because well, I've been taking Prilosec for years, and I used to just get them from my grandma because she had extra. And I went to a doctor and got my own prescription, and I changed pharmacies, I guess. I don't know what happened, but I started taking them. I have these really sharp chest pains. I still get them, but I feel like I've learned that I can't do as much as I used to. I haven't been streaming as much because when I streamed, I'd watch Lil Shaq a lot more, and I've just been trying to do bare minimum and eat better, drink better, and smoke less.
Yeah, so I was going to say the cigarette smoke, isn't that to value your comics if you're smoking in that room all the time? That's my roundabout way of saying it's bad for your health, just pretending it's about the comics and their value.
That's really superficial of you, Tacoma, but
I care underneath.
Those poor damn books. Well, fortunately enough to come, I feel like the books I like are so old they've been around smoke before, so I'm not going to worry about too much.
I bought a few collections where you're like, yep, somebody was smoking around this one. So here I am drinking bourbon and telling you not to smoke cigarettes. And it's like when I hit
I think if
my wife not to smoke a cigarette.
That's my self-defense mechanism for pricks. If they don't want to get my books because of smoke, then I just get to keep them.
There you go. So Spectre in the chat says omeprazole. Omeprazole is better for you. I don't know if you've tried that.
Oh yeah, I think it's the same shit. That's exactly what I get at Masterpol.
Okay. Because I mean, I know that I put this. I'm not a stranger to strong medications, legal and otherwise. But you give me a Benadryl, I'm out. I'm just out. You know, you give me 2 Benadryl. I'm used to taking 3 of everything. And I forgot the last time that I was feeling like allergies. I should have just taken 1 Benadryl. I took 3. And I was out for an incredibly long period of time, most of the daylight and dark hours of that night. And sometimes it just happens that way.
Yeah, I feel groggy the next day off Benadryl. I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And for my son, one of my sons, we used to give it to him, wakes him right up, and he runs around the house like a crazy boy. So you never tell what's going on with these things. You just need Cali's finest, man. There's so many strains these days. It's I can't keep up. I don't go to the store like every day. I mean, you know, I don't even go every month because you buy a cartridge, you buy 2 or 3 cartridges for your pen, and you're good for a month and a half. You know, I don't smoke every day or anything.
Ain't that weird? How weird how your state? Sorry.
No, go on, man. I know what you're saying, but go on.
Ain't that weird how your state is like super legal and pro and like you're on the internet and it would probably be totally normal for you to smoke, but you know.
Well, it's upstairs otherwise, and I don't want to get it in the comic room. But yeah, no, it totally is. And it's just, but it's amazing not only how normal it is, but like, you know, I haven't smoked. Well, no, my wife got a little gift pack of joints the other day. So I have smoked recently, but in the last 3 years, I've done nothing but vape the liquids in the little vape pens. And it's, you know, you cough like 100th less than you used to just once in a while. It's so smooth and it lasts so long. And oh my God, it's so strong compared to like what I remember growing up as a kid. And I haven't seen a seed or a stem in freaking a decade now. It's insane. Just you can't even, you're like dumbfounded.
No, I'm looking at TJ's statement because he's a fellow smoker and he's saying if they're bagged and boarded and shit, you don't really get smoke on them.
Bagged?
So okay. I agree with them. If they're especially if they're in a short box or long box, they're really not exposed to smoke at all. You know.
All right. Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, you know, the pot out here, it's just incredible how strong it is. Like we actually, at first, we went overboard. We kept getting like 70% THC, 80%. Let's find one that's like 93, like as high THC content as you could get. And then like I said, you know what? This stuff that's making us crack up and then pass out like right away, let's go the other way. So I went and I asked my guy for like a real low level, like nice indica, and he gave me this like real low, like 20% THC. And I'm like, I can take more than 3 or 4 hits on this and still be lucid for the rest of the evening. And so I've got a variety of cartridges, man. It's just not like when I was, I don't want to say kid, a teenager.
No.
And, you know, you got what you got. It was a dime bag. You paid $10, $15 to somebody. You got a little, if you were lucky, it was an actual Ziploc that closes. If you weren't, it was a sandwich bag that was just folded over and it was shake, seeds and stems and pot. You had to roll it or put it in a bowl, and no idea the name, the strain, the quality, whether it was indica or sativa or a hybrid, like none of that. It's a whole new world now, and I'm 100% advocate for it, and I love it.
It's probably safer and cleaner. I live in Ohio, and we are really good pot growers. I think that we actually invented the dwarf.
Oh yeah.
Like we used to grow pot in cornfields, and we wanted a way to grow pot to where you couldn't see it. So we made these dwarfs, and it created this
Right.
we got a county called Mex County. They call it Mex County Gold. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to get this weed like 20 years ago. It was the best weed on the planet, dude. Like there was no comparison. And it got you so high, bro. It was like you were floating above yourself and shit. And I've smoked different weed since then. It's gotten close to that, but not quite as good. And
I heard that like
this week's
the second largest crop in Kentucky is weed. You know, it's illegal, but it's like it's how prevalent it is in some of those states that have all that farmland. Yeah, so
California is probably the capital, but I think Ohio and Kentucky's pretty high up there with y'all because we got like real farmer motherfuckers here, you know. Like,
so I'll tell you, I just talked to a friend of mine from high school, and I mean, he was been in sales all his life. You know, he used to sell like computer systems to restaurants. He used to sell emergency management computer systems to fire departments. He used to travel all over the Pacific Northwest. His wife got a good job, so he stayed at home for a while to be a stay-at-home dad. And he's called me up the other day. He's like, I just got a job offer. I'm selling fertilizer to weed growers. Like, that's how much of a specialized market it's become, that there's actually a company that creates fertilizer specifically for pot growers, and his job is now to sell that fertilizer to the pot growers. Like,
that's interesting, bro. I run around country guys, and I know these one guys that grew, and they told me the fucking secret was chicken shit.
God, that works too. I'm out here.
I don't know if they were bullshitting me or what.
No, you can use that as a good as a good fertilizer. You can find that, and you know.
Yeah, they also fought chickens, which I wasn't into. Like I didn't even.
No, but
get into that.
If you look up here, let's see if we can do this right. This is Tagro, right? This is Tacoma. Tagro is Tacoma Grow. Where'd it go? There you go. And it's basically poop shit, right? It's they take biosolids from the city of Tacoma, they mix it with dirt and other stuff, they heat it, they treat it, they put some stuff in it that makes it not like toxic and not like bad for you, and then they sell it. You can pick it up for free in bucket loads from this one place, or you can buy it bags at like the local Ace Hardware. And I use that to grow all my vegetable garden. It's great stuff, you know, and it's recycling at its best. It's insane.
Yeah, man. I get it, dude. Like there's a whole, it really generates a whole economy. Like
yeah,
people
hey,
live off that stuff.
Let's check the chat. Let's check the chat for a minute. Kirk says he likes rolling, man. I don't know, because I understand. I used to like getting like the bags of drum and rolling my own cigarettes. But you try rolling pot when you had like the stems and the sticks and stuff, and the seeds, wasn't that good. His dad grew his whole life. Land out here is too expensive. Yeah. Hey, Jojo, how you doing? We're having a little weed comics conversation here. Chaos says he's going to quit drinking and start smoking. Smartest thing for you, man. If I could do it down in this room, I'd probably, and I have done it sometimes, but I just don't feel like walking all the way up there. Oh, big boy books from the Biggie Shack. What you guys, that
yeah, man.
Not
First Juggernaut, yep. And guess what other book I got? Me and you got a little history about this one. Remember me getting a hold of you, like, dude? Yeah, I've been telling you, I've been needing that, right?
You got it?
Bang.
Yeah, no, man. I was happy you got it. I was like, you know, I would have sold it to you when I was ready to sell mine, but if you got it somewhere else, that's great. Good night, TJ. Right. Thank you so much. Kirk says free. I don't know who said free. I don't know what's free, but something's free. Yeah, I do not have to work in the morning. I've got to go to a freaking meeting all day, though. It's insane. Yeah, I still have that 94. I'm not. I'm not ready to part with it till I've got the money to buy a better one, you know? And the money that I could sell that
Right.
for isn't going to get me the better one yet. So I got to save some cash.
You know, 84 just bought one at a flea market for 150, and they okayed it to Theory, and it was a nice copy, man. They're out there. They're just they're hard to find.
I just want one that doesn't have the detached cover. Mine's actually in good condition, except for the fact that the cover is detached. But once the cover is detached, it just doesn't count as good anymore, you know?
I wonder how hard it would be to get that puppy attached.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to basically, so where the paper comes off the staple, I mean, you'd have to pull out the staple from the whole comic and put like a different or newer
cool. It still has
in.
the original. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll just wait till I find another one. So I'll be
I'm a fan of leaving stuff the way it is and selling it so someone else can mess with it, because I might mess it up, you know.
I wouldn't try it for sure. So I got myself another copy of First Rose Tico, and then I got myself a copy of First Admiral Holdo. This is when Princess Leia teaches her how to ride a land speeder. There's the B cover. And, you know, I think she is undersung. She crashed her fucking ship to save the rebellion. And I think people give her too much shit and not enough credit for that. You know, plus she was in the middle of a weird movie, but she crashed her ship, sacrificed herself, and died in order to save the rebellion. And that fucking takes guts.
What did you think about that last movie?
You know, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I had somebody on who was like, it's Star Wars, I still love it. And I kind of get that. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. Right? And not because I hated it, but because I was excited. I love Star Wars. I was excited to watch it when it was on, and I think we went to the theater, and that shows how long ago it was, right? January, December. I remember enjoying parts of it, but you know, it's on Disney Plus now. We've rewatched almost every Star Wars thing we could possibly find on Disney Plus. I don't think I'm going to rewatch that anytime soon, because it was 3 hours long. I don't care about Snoke and his grandparents and his whole thing.
Yeah.
I do. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you that 4/5 of the movie was boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's Rey, I think, has been a standout character. Finn and Poe, they just didn't know how to make them stick out in that superstar way. Rey, I think, legitimately has. But then at the end, you know, I totally think she should have been like, I don't have a fucking last name. I'm Rey. Deal with it. Right? But to say, you know, I'm Rey Skywalker, I think that ruined everything that could have been good about the trajectory of her story.
You care about the roles. Like, see, me, I just wanted to see a good fight, and I felt like the fight at the end was good.
You got that in the middle when they were on that ship in the water, but it took so long to get there. And then there was so much after. There were so many, like, this is the final climactic battle. No, this is the final climactic battle. And it's like, where's my final climactic battle that just actually matters, right?
I want a Hulk Hogan theme parody of Rey coming back to beat the whatever his name is, Counselor.
That would be awesome. So Kirk found a Hulk 102. Spectre says, are we oversaturated with titles now? 5 different Spider-Man titles, a bunch of X-Men titles. So the other day on my show, Chaos, I pulled out, I found X-Men #1 by Jonathan Hickman and Marauders #1. I love the Powers of X, House of X, but I haven't read anything after that. And because there were too many titles, and what they did is they took all your favorite heroes and they chopped them up. They said, we'll put one in this title and one in that title and one in that title and one in that title. Then we'll throw a B-lister, and then we'll throw a C-lister in each and another C-lister and 2 D-listers. And so now if you like that guy and that guy and that girl and that woman, you got to buy those 4 comics. And it's like, who's got that money to buy 4 So I would love one X-Men title, but I understand the market. They're going to milk it for what they can. So I have not picked an X-Men title yet to follow since the end of Powers and House of X. I don't know. Do you follow anything, Biggie?
Of course I'm pulling Venom. I'm trying to get Thor. I pull Spawn, Deadpool. I've been buying Nailbiter.
How is the new
Girl never
I didn't get the new one.
I didn't read the newest issue, but it's really good.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I have a lot of reading to catch up to, but it's interesting. Melody's the main Nailbiter fan, so I kind of just let her read it and she tells me about it. But yeah, I think that's about it. Like, if Walking Dead does anything, like I try to get that, but I always try to. Oh yeah, I'm pulling Batman. I had to start with Second Prince because I said order like 3 Second Prince from me and I'll start pulling it. So I started pulling that, and there's a few other. I can't remember everything.
Nice. Let's check the chat. Chaos says he's in the new Star Wars. He still loves it. I don't think he means he's in it, but he probably won't watch it very often. Kirks agrees that there's too many Spideys. Miles, ASM, Symbiotic. So JoJo, who's a big movie fan, she can't stand Last Jedi. She liked Force Awakens and Rise. See, I liked Force Awakens. I thought it was a great way to reset with nods to the past, but forging something new. But if they'd taken out the Canto Bight riding the funny animals through the fucking casino planet, I would have loved Last Jedi. And if they took the caretakers with the funny clothing and bonnets on the Jedi planet, that was stupid too, right? But otherwise, I loved where Last Jedi was going, and I wish they'd kept that trajectory going through Rise of the Skywalker. I didn't dislike Rise of the Skywalker. I just didn't feel it. Like, I got to go watch that 25 more times. Like, I've watched Rogue One a bunch. I've watched Mandalorian 3 or 4 times through. I've watched the prison episode of Mandalorian about 5 or 6 times. I've watched Solo a bunch of times. I don't see myself rewatching Rise that often. Spectre says regular Spidey, Venom, Miles, Spider-Gwen, Black Cat, and others. Yeah. Kirk says we should read X-Force. Maybe I'll try X-Force. Chaos says buy everything, and Chaos is not one to readily just approve a comic, so I like that. You can live without the New Mutants, but still read it. I didn't even know there was New Mutants going on still. Marauders, yeah. So I've got issue 1 and 2 Marauders. I'll read those, and if I like it, I'll pick that up. I've got issue 1 of X-Force. I don't have Excalibur. I don't have. No, I'm sorry. I don't have
that last.
I've got X-Men.
That last Deadpool was phenomenal, bro.
Oh yeah. So you might be the only person I know who's like currently reading Deadpool. That's awesome. I love.
You know what they did?
Go ahead.
They he made fun of Krakoa. He called him a bunch of fascists. The whole comic.
He goes to Krakoa, doesn't he? Like he actually goes there.
Huh? Yeah, he goes to Krakoa, right? And he asks for like a seed so he can come back whenever he wants. And they was like, no, you don't get one. He was like, why not? I'm a fucking mutant. You're a bunch of fascists. And he's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going back to Staten Island. I don't want no mutants to come to Staten Island. This is my island.
That's on brand. I love that. Man.
Yeah, but the thing was that Jeff the Land Shark stole a seed so he can go back and forth still.
So, I mean,
he wanted them to apologize, right?
They are fascists, right?
Absolutely.
There's a whole bunch of. I mean, it's like a big. There's also like light references to the fact that it's basically a giant orgy island too. So
yeah. It feels like he's making fun of the creators too.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of it all. Like Hickman's, I mean, I love it, dude. So I'm gonna be all pro all of them. Yeah, but Hickman's like sort of to me, he's like sort of genius. Like I haven't cared about X-Men since the 90s. And
well, he's leading somewhere. Like, I mean, clearly everything is going to come. This isn't going to be the status quo forever. It might be for 2 or 3 years, but I mean, my guess is that he's leading somewhere, and somebody, maybe Kitty Pryde, somebody's going to be like, wait a second, this is all fucking wrong, and here's the reason why, and we can't do this. And so I'm really interested to know where he goes. I just don't know that I'm interested enough to buy 6 new titles on my pull list each month.
It's more than 6 now. You're where I am right after Hoxpox. But now we're like 12 issues in, and I've sort of changed my opinions on what he must be doing, because I thought there was going to be this like deep, intricate plot. And you know, he's doing something different. But it's more than 6 issues right now. If you were to buy, like I'm buying every X-Men book. And so if you were to buy every
X-Men, Marauders, X-Force, New Mutants, Excalibur, what else?
At least 1 or 2 giant size comes out every month. And then there's the crossover with Empire has been coming out. So that's 4. That's it. That's a mini series, right? But there are a bunch of mini series. The X of Swords is going to be the X desk wide crossover. It's like 22 parts. So there's going to be some that go through the books, and then some that are their own thing. There's a new book called Hellions. There's another new book. There's X-Force. There's Children of the Atom coming out, or X Factor. I mean, Children of the Atom coming out, and that's what I could remember. I got some of them right here. But yeah, there's insane, no. It is insane, and he says, hey, it's not meant for you to buy them all, because they'll have like their own storyline. Sort of. He like made a new normal, is what he thinks he did, right? But but as soon as he said that, they announced the X of Swords thing, and it's going to go through all the books. If you're going to follow X of Swords, you got to buy all the books. So
that's insane.
It reminds me of War of the Realms.
It's bigger than that. It's more like
it's bigger. See, that's crazy, bro.
Well, it's more like, you know, War of the Realms is like, okay, there were 6 issues, and then there's a shit ton of tie-ins, and you can read them or not. What this feels more like is, you know, like Maximum Carnage was like 14 issues, and Executioner's Song in the 90s was like 16 or whatever it was. It feels more like that. And then they go through each. They're going to go through each book. You know, like if you collect
bitch too, the Clone Saga.
Yeah, so that's why I mean, if you remember, the first major event that Marvel did was Secret Wars, right, back in the 80s. And if you read all 12 issues, you got the complete fucking story. And every comic during that time was almost like going through a house where nobody was home. So like they'd be like, you'd read the X-Men and be like, Kitty Pryde or somebody was stuck in the mansion while everybody else was off on the Beyonders world, and she'd be like, I wonder what's going on up there. And then a little note, see Secret Wars issue number 3, editor, right? And so you could follow you didn't have to read the regular books to get the story, because the regular books were like, there's a story going on over there, we're loosely connected to it, and that's it. But now it's like, to follow these stories, you got to read everything. It drives me insane.
Well, he was cool. Hickman was cool at first, because Hoxpox was exactly what you just said, right? All the X books ended. There was no tie-ins. You know, you knew that you knew you're going to go in every week and buy one book, or every other week, or whatever it was, you know. And it was refreshing. It's probably what got me in, you know. But then now he's going and doing the thing that everyone hates, these big events that have too many tie-ins.
Right. But he's like, a good writer, so it's hard. Have you read The Dying and the Dead, the indie book that he did a couple years back?
A D&D? No, I didn't read a D&D.
Dying and the Dead.
Hickman did a D&D book.
It was great. He did another indie. Black Monday Murders was great. Like he's done these great great indie books with all the symbols and stuff that he like brought over to the Hoxpox stuff. It was crazy. But yeah, it's a lot to follow. So Spectre says they brought back Krakoa, even though one writer said that issue of the new X-Men never happened. And he says Phantom X, he didn't even know who he was. Yeah, Phantom X came out, I guess, in the late 90s, early 2000s in Morrison's X-Men. Phantom X is a cool character and really, really done hard by the fact that the cover to his first appearance is some chick that's not Phantom X, and so everybody looks at that comic like, oh, no, it's not Phantom X. Phantom X, cool white coat, white long trench coat, goggles, face, just not necessarily a straight good guy. A little bit of a bad.
I got a
guy.
question.
Go ahead.
So I'm pretty dumb when it comes to X-Men. Like I'm very Silver Age based, but I do think that in Giant Size, Krakoa was the whole planet, right?
Krakoa was the main. It was the island, and it was like a more of an enemy. But people don't realize Krakoa was a main character in Jason Aaron's run. Like Krakoa was.
I thought that they were like battling. They were battling on top of this island, and then they are planet, and they found out at the end. They're like, "You silly fuckers! I'm the whole planet is me." You know, that's what
is technically a mutant. It is technically an Omega level mutant.
The island is
right. Sorry, the island. I'm a little drunk. Sorry. Yeah. The island is a mutant. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the story now.
Yeah, it does.
Does it have anything to do with the story now?
I think it has a lot to do with the story now. I think it has more to do than we think, actually. I think that's part of what's going on. Now, does anybody still have their House of X, Powers of X seeds growing? Remember when you first when the first House of X preview came out, you could get seeds from your comic book shop?
Yeah, my comic book shop didn't.
Oh, I didn't plant them last year because I didn't have I did just moved into this house, but I had the seeds. I planted them this year, and they made these nice little purple flowers. So I'm really excited.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're called something.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I rolled into on IG. Yeah, that was really, really cool. But yeah, now Krakoa had a son, right?
I don't know. Is that what was in Jason Aaron's run?
I think there's a child that's like a child of Krakoa and somebody else. I'm not sure.
So there's two things. I'm not sure what are you referencing something that happened recently, or are you talking about that Jason Aaron run I was talking about from a few years ago?
I'm not positive.
So Krakoa does get it on with another island in X-Men 2. So you have to just read that. But you have to read that.
Saying it like so naturally. Yeah, the island had relations with another island.
You know what I love about it, dude? It's I love Transformers. So you got Unicron and Primus, and I love them kind of like I'm a planet monster kind of things. That's cool shit.
Yeah, Transformers are awesome. I decided that I like them enough. I should read some of the comics.
I buy the toys first. That's what I tell everybody.
Oh, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I loved the toys back in the day.
The son of Krakoa was a spore that was released that Nightcrawler eventually defeated this Vega Superior by tricking him into drowning itself. So,
well, when is this though? What? Okay. So in Jason Aaron's run, Krakoa. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I read Hawks and Pox, and I've got the Rosenberg run that came directly before that. But then you'd have to go back like decades before I have any other collected. Like, I just got the Curse of the Mutants where Jubilee becomes a vampire. I got that run, but like, you know, you got to go back to the early '90s before you've got any significant X-Men that I've been reading like consistently up until recently.
I've touched on Grant Morrison's run. I mean, yeah, and that's one that probably I should really read because all the characters that you and me would consider like smaller side characters, like Glob, they still all appear because they're good characters, but those all came in with Grant Morrison. Yeah, you know, with like wacky ass Doom Patrol mind, you know, putting in a guy whose mutant power is to have like 15 eyes or some shit. You know what I mean? Like weird ass Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
So, that was cool.
You've got Dust in that run. You've got Phantom X in that run, and
Phantom X, that's where he comes from.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've only read. I need issue 127. Otherwise, I've got the entire Grant Morrison New X-Men run.
Nice.
But I won't read it until I get 127 because I've got this weird thing about I can't read it and miss one issue in the middle. But I've read a few of them. I read where Phantom X was introduced. I read where it was introduced.
How many damn boxes do you got, Tacoma, dude?
Not well. I don't know. So I'm going to be rebuilding this thing here because it's not like it's sort of broke and it's not like it's not perfect. And so a couple of drawers fell out. I made the drawers too deep for the amount of weight that they can hold. So I got to make the drawers less shallow.
I remember the first time I met Tacoma, he was talking about how to get stickers off of comics. He just bought so many damn comics all the time, bro.
And I'm not sure. I'm sure there's people with more, but you see those? I got those in the hallway so that I can clean the room. I got a few on the floor there. I got a few.
Are these short or long boxes? These are short, right?
These are all short. I got a few there. I got something there. And then I got 4 up there. So I have no idea if that answers your question, but I got.
It looks like about 30.
That sounds about right. Sounds about right. I estimate I got about 4,000 comics at this point.
That's about where I'm at. I'm about 5,500, I think.
I'm right around there.
It's a ridiculous amount of comics, bro. It's like, I like to think I have things, but when I go to look for them, I don't organize. I just double bag everything. And when I get it, so I have like, I was collecting in this box at that time, and then at that time, and then so
nice. Yeah, I'm a sort of organized, but not totally. I'm getting there though. I mean, I pretty much know where most things are. I've been trying to sell a bunch of there's a lot of oh, here's a cool 4-issue Image series that I read that was fun, but like The Field that I'm never going to do anything with. Though here's a little 8-issue run that was a spin-off of 100 Bullets called Brother Lono. Nobody's ever going to want that again. So I've got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to get rid of just to make space, but it's hard. Some of it's like the box down there is the absolute dreck. That's what gets sold back to half price books, So it's there's a lot of crap down there.
We all got comics nobody wants. That's the
funny
fact.
thing is, some of those books I got at a different store. The mystery packs they have, when I took them out, they got half price stickers on. So I'm my half price, my local one, you have to make an appointment to sell back right now because they don't want too many people in the store. So I got an appointment for 2 Saturdays from now. I'm going to go down and sell back comics with a half price sticker on from 2013 and just give them all back, see what I can get.
That's funny.
Did you see that new Venom Chaos where he's holding a wrestling belt?
Yeah, I just saw Chris put it up. To me, that's awesome. I'm gonna try to get it. Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be a new thing. Like Spider-Man will get one.
The wrestling belt covers.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome if they did wrestling belt covers. I just love it that he's beating up Spider-Man.
Yeah, that belt looked awesome. I know I won't be able to afford it. Maybe in 6 months, if it ever comes down, it's probably like $100 book. But I would like to get.
Will probably be that. The Virgin will probably be that much. The trade dress will probably be like 20 or 30, which I'm trying not to do, but that cover's too awesome. So hopefully I just.
Oh, I won't buy it if it's $30. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, they got to make a print where it's cheap enough to buy. I hope. Yeah. Of course, I would want the original. Virgins don't bother me. I don't really like Virgins. That's just silliness to me.
Oh, you don't like them that much? I like them. Because
it's this overpriced shit. Give me the A cover.
Yeah, overpriced stuff.
The A covers seem to be what sustain value more than anything. So I just like the standard first print.
I mean, I guess it just depends on. Is there something on the trade dress or on the A cover that actually gets in the way of the art? Most of the time it doesn't. and so the Virgin is just like a cash grab. But sometimes there's like, you look at a book, you're like, okay, that's actually improved by like having a Virgin variant to it. So, right, this one, like the Stephanie Hans, where it says Miss Marvel right across there on the trade dress, I think that actually blocks out the gorgeousness of this cover. But you know, a lot of books, I don't think that's the case. I think that they actually, like, it doesn't matter if it's a trade or not. And sometimes it's cool to actually have the title of the book somewhere, right? If the title was down here, that would be awesome, right? In that little white space down there. Because sometimes it's just cool to see the title of the book, like the way X-Men is written, right? In Uncanny X-Men, that's just a known thing, right? You know that font, you know that slant, you know everything about that makes it a thing.
Biggie's right. It's a
Hey
cash
guys, I
grab.
better get
It's a
out of
cash
here,
grab.
man.
You out of here?
All right, man.
I appreciate y'all. I'll hang out with you again. Good seeing you, Chaos, brother.
Thanks for coming down, man. I appreciate it. It's nice to have people stop by and join me, because you know, I would have been done an hour ago if it was just me talking. Because
Yeah,
I don't always have anything interesting to say.
Maybe
So,
y'all can keep it going. I'm gonna hop in the chat.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. So we
Later,
got
Biggie.
Trujillo over here. He says he's been cutting down to quality only. Made a personal rule that if I hesitate to spend the money to put in Mylar, I don't need it. So, Jasir, how do you go about reading? Because there's tons of stuff I like to read that isn't a quality series that I would necessarily want to keep around forever, or that like has any value beyond like a personal value to me. But I've read so many of them that, like, yeah, they were good stories to read, but it's not like, wow, I need to keep this. Digital. It's a good answer. It's an answer I think I should follow, man. I don't know. Spectre says he's almost done with. Is that the first Jonah Hex series, Spectre, or what is that? Because I'm definitely a completist. I love like right now I'm working on Nam. Like I said, I'm working on that new X-Men. I love just trying to find the, you know, not going to eBay and ordering them, just finding those issues to complete a series and be like, look, I've got one to the end. What about you? Do you like doing that?
What, have the whole run?
Yeah, get runs. Like go back and find things.
Yeah, but I do it for like cheap books, because I'm not trying to have like super expensive books. So like the stuff that I wanted when I was a kid and couldn't afford, like, even though like probably half of $20.99 is terrible, I always pick those up. You know, the early ones you see everywhere. It's the later ones that they're still cheap. You just don't see them in the bins. And then stuff I finished is like just stuff like Age of Apocalypse. Drakir mentioned Age of Apocalypse earlier. So I try to get not only all of Age of Apocalypse, but I want all the appearances of the characters that went into the 616. So that's Dark Beast, that's Nate Gray, Sugarman, that kind of thing. So, but mostly the kind of stuff I do to like finish runs is like so I can go crate dig and it not cost me hundreds of dollars.
Nice. One of the things that I got really lucky with is do I have an Ice Cream Man 1? No, I do not. I did not read Ice Cream. I probably should have, but I didn't. Just one of those books I missed. One of the things that I did is when Champions came out, I first Miss Marvel came out and I was really into Miss Marvel, and then Champions came out. I'm like, I like this book. I like the teen superheroes. That's what my original X-Men from the 80s basically were. So I was kind of down with that. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to get the first appearance of these characters. So I need to get the first appearance of Kamala Khan. I need to get the first appearance of Miles. I need to get the first appearance of Totally Awesome Hulk. So I got all these books because I wanted the first appearance of everybody in this team way before they blew up, like way before they became something big. So I was really lucky in that. I was so lucky that, God, I had a couple copies of Ultimate Fallout 4 that I've sold along the way. And, you know, if I'd held, you know, always the story, if I'd held on to them. So I still have the one, but I don't have the other two. And I probably, you know, bought them for 10 or 20, sold them for like 60. but you could be selling for 300 now. It's insane.
It's even more than that, aren't they? Aren't those? Yeah. Those went up to, I don't know if they're still up there, but those went up to the 800-900s.
Well, it's slabbed, but I don't slab my books, right? I'm talking about raw.
I thought the slabbed. Oh, I thought the slabbed ones went even crazier.
Maybe
like in the last month and a half, 2 months, it went crazy. I think.
Really,
but
that's insane.
Yeah,
let's look it up and see.
Yeah, I'm sure it's come down.
So what's the Venom 9 tan going for now? Is that Philip Tan? Is that a variant? I don't know. I sold Venom 9, a second print for $40 or something recently, but I don't know what each issue is going for specifically. Ultimate Fallout.
I just sold one through 11 for $275, which was, I basically gave it away for a steal.
Nice. So Ultimate Fallout 4, $375 now for high grade raw.
Well, what's it on? Check eBay. Like eBay. How updated are they? How updated are his?
It's a good question. I don't know how updated they are. Boom. eBay. Ultimate Fallout 4. Second print 75. Ultimate Fallout 4. Second print 80. Second print, there you go. 350 for a raw number 1. 265 for slabbed 9.6.
265
9.4. 224. 105. 158. 11 bids. I'd say
so those are being bid on.
Yeah.
So when that video game got announced, like those books went nuts for a little bit. So they sound like they've come back down. But they went nuts, like raw books were going for 800 and stuff.
Yeah, and that's really weird to me that that raw books, that the video game is what pushed it over. You know, it's like I don't understand that it wasn't in. To me, this idea that a character has to be in the MCU to blow up big is weird. Like Into the Spider-Verse to me is still the best superhero movie ever made, and like why that didn't blow up the character even more is always a mystery to me. The X-Men movies should have blown up each and every one of those characters, regardless of whether they were Sony or they were Marvel movies. You know, that was like, to me, being in a movie and being a popular character is enough. You don't have to be a popular character in the MCU specifically, but the market says differently.
I think with Miles, though, I think it was ready to pop on any news. Like I hear a lot of people saying that it was the video game, and like technically that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I think he was ready to pop for any kind of news. Like, you know, people were trading those. A lot of people wanted them. They were going back and forth. You know, the prices were going. You know, they've been steadily rising for years. And I think a lot of people knew that that's really the only clear, affordable investment book is his first appearance that might be worth a lot, because he's only going to get bigger. You know what I mean? We're still like in the early Miles Morales stages, you know? And I think it was just any news broke the camel, not necessarily that it was a video game.
Yeah, so I think, and at the same time, the what's it called? The Key Collector app drops the hip hop variants as okay. YouTube rejected your comment. YouTube rejected my own comment.
Wow.
So this is really weird. Spectre says, "Who is Kindred?" So I just looked it up, and Kindred is a group of humanoid animals in the Marvel universe. But that comment got rejected when I wrote it a little bit differently. Maybe they thought I was calling somebody humanoid animals. I don't know. anyway, yeah, no, I think Miles. That's a good point. Miles was poised to explode. I think that he has only an upside, right? Just there's only an upside to where he can go and what he can do, and what the book's capable of and what the character's capable of. People just seem to gravitate towards him. I think the video game helped. I think the movie helped, but I also think the same time the video game was announced was about the same time that the hip hop variants like took on a life of their own. There was a 1 week period where the hip hop variant with Miles was listed by Key Collector app as a $200 book. And then 3 days later, they upgraded it to $250 book. And then a week later, it went down to $160 book. But during that 1 week span was also the same time that the video game announcement came out, or around then. So it was like it all just meshed together and through the roof.
Yeah, and that Miles hip hop variant's actually really popular too. You know, so
I got it for $4 that weekend.
Yeah, no, I remember you talking about it when you showed him,
because I love it. So the boy who had 7 had a I don't know if he's having one tomorrow, but he had last Wednesday. He had an auction, and I picked up a pretty decent Star Wars #1 first print for $50.
Nice, that's pretty cheap. That's really cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but I would give it, and it's got like I don't know if you can see there. It's got a little bit of a coffee stain or water stain. I don't know if it's gonna show up. It's got a little bit of browning there, but it's in really nice condition. The the spine is beautiful. So yeah, I thought that was pretty decent price. There's a little bit of a crease here that could be pressed out. And this could be easily pressed to like an 8.5 or a 9. So I was pretty happy with that. And then he also had this for about the same amount. So I got 2 nice books off of him for $100, both of which this I've owned before, but I traded it and plus the money for Clone Wars 1. And this I actually own in a slab, so I don't know why I bought another one of these. I think it was an impulse buy. I think I got to get rid of it, but
what's the G.I. Joe?
G.I. Joe 1.
Oh, it's 1. Okay,
#1. Yeah. Hold on. Excuse me, chat. You going to bed, sweetie? All right. Okay, I'll be there. All right, gang. Time to wrap it up. Got to go take the dog out and get to bed. I've got a training tomorrow all day online, so it's going to be super boring. But want to thank Big Shaq for being here. Thank Chaos and Comics for showing up. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for coming out. And I am always here Tuesday nights as long as I don't have school, drinking bourbon and talking bullshit about comics. Hope to see you here next week. Take care, everybody.
See you later. Thanks for having me.